This is the podcast that must not be named. Melissa and Luke have a wonderful show prepared for you. Be sure to check out thepodcastthat.com to get the latest episodes and blogs from all of our shows. Cheers, and let's get to it. Insert intro music.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast that must not be named. I'm Melissa.
I am Luke.
And we are here discussing Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, chapter number 13, entitled Mad-Eye Moody. This chapter was 16 pages long, which is 2.18% of the book.
The morning after the start of term feast, classes begin, and the trio head to herbology, where they learn how to extract booba-tuba pus, great for troublesome acne. They then head to Care of Magical Creatures class, once again joined by the Slytherins, where Malfoy has nothing better to do but complain about the new animals they will be studying, the blast-ended Scroots, eyeless lobster-like creatures that can sting, suck, and blast off from their backsides. After lunch, which Hermione did wolf down, a change from last night most likely caused by hunger, she heads off to the library, and the boys go to divination, where they start to learn about the importance of planetary alignments, but Professor Trelawney is wrong once again when she predicts that Harry was born in mid-winter. On their way to dinner, Malfoy tries to embarrass Ron by reading an article from Rita Skeeter, making fun of Mr. Weasley trying to help out Mad-Eye Moody yesterday. Harry comes to its defense and properly insults Draco's mother. When Harry turns his back, Malfoy attempts to curse him, but misses, and is quickly transfigured into a ferret by none other than Professor Moody, who bounces Malfoy around the entrance hall for a bit before being stopped by Professor McGonagall, and Ron only wants to imprint that image on his brain forever.
All right, Luke, so you want to go ahead and tell us who all did we meet in this chapter?
So yeah, some character introductions. We met Draco's eagle owl. I mean, he was flying around in the Great Hall at least. Whoo.
Ooh.
It's
more like a whoo. It's an eagle owl, right? So it's got to have a deeper voice.
Yeah. We also had a mention of Eloise Midgen.
Aw, poor Eloise.
Poor girl. Right. And Arnold Weasley was mentioned.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought maybe not put that one in, but I thought it was worth mentioning for the misnomer.
Yes, not Arthur Weasley, Arnold Weasley.
We had Gredden Forge back in book one.
Right.
So
that's right. So we didn't go anywhere new, but we did learn some new magicabulary, all of which are gross and disgusting. So I'm very excited by that. The first one was the Boobotubers and Boobotuber pus. Yummy.
Slimy yet satisfying.
All right, Simba.
Right.
And then our last one was Blast and Scroots, which sound horrible.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a couple little notes on those, but they sound pretty dangerous, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely dangerous. But, it's Hagrid, so who's surprised?
Yeah, I mean...
Not this girl.
Not surprised. I see you
Definitely.
have your book open.
I do have my book open.
And
because there's a picture.
There's a chapter illustration. Why don't you tell us about it?
It is a creepy-looking old man whose face looks like it was carved out of wood.
Yeah, quite a bit, right? Pretty angular, pretty scarred up. Like scratches and scars.
Big eye, long hair. I'm thinking it's Mad-Eye.
Yeah. It kind of has a, Quasimodo feel to it.
Yes.
Especially the Disney version.
Yes.
Of Hunchback of Notre Dame.
City of Paris is glowing this evening. True, because it's on fire. But still, there's L'Amour. It's one of my favorite songs in that whole show.
That whole movie. One of the best music throughout. It's very underrated, I think.
And anytime you can get Jason Alexander singing, I'm a big fan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
George Costanza.
The satyr. But yeah, definitely a spooky looking teacher to have.
Great. All All right, so Luke, it looks like you were in charge of some deep thoughts today. So let's jump in with some of your ideas. What were you thinking here?
So, probably my best thought that I had in this chapter is a frustration. Still no classes with any Ravenclaws. Like, what? Come on. Like, I don't know. I guess it really is just the honors classes. They're the smart kids.
Well, so I've been learning in my job lately. Here you go. Ready for some education things about competency-based learning, where you can, like, if you can prove that you can pass all of the main points, like all the different assessments for the main points of a class without having to take the entire class for the whole year. If you can prove your competency in the class, you can like take the final and just move on to something else. That's what I think is happening with the Ravenclaws. Competency-based learning.
Oh, man. It seems like every class would go through that, though. I feel like that would be talked about. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just feel like we'd get... and everyone, except for Hermione, had to stay in the class. But she chose to for solidarity with her friends. She would be testing out.
She would be testing out. Well, I guess maybe... Okay, so do you think that Hufflepuffs or Slytherins have any classes with Ravenclaws?
At this point, no. I just don't.
Which means... And I think there's just enough variance and just enough like hope that nobody's noticing that it's entirely possible that they've purposely set the schedule. So sometimes Gryffindors are alone, sometimes Gryffindors are with Hufflepuffs, sometimes Hufflepuffs are alone, sometimes Hufflepuffs are with Slytherin, sometimes Slytherins are alone, sometimes Slytherin are with Gryffindor. But they're all not together enough for no one to notice that nobody else is with Ravenclaw.
So... do you think, they're looking through their own timetables and they're like, okay, so if we have, herbology with the Hufflepuffs, and then we have Transfiguration by ourselves, and then potions with, Snape and the Slytherins, the Slytherins probably have herbology with the Ravenclaws, is what the Gryffindors are telling themselves.
Right.
But I don't think that's happening.
Well, and really, so class scheduling has always been a big question of mine. Go with me here. So what if you only have the class alone with your house teacher? Well, no, that doesn't work because Slytherins have...
and Hufflepuff. The two examples that we have are specifically not that.
Okay.
Well,
or what
specifically for non-Gryffindor.
So, one of my concerns is how are they teaching 4 sections of, say, charms, right? So you've got... a section for Gryffindor, a section for Hufflepuff, a section for Slytherin, a section for Ravenclaw. What if they only have 2 sections of everything? Go with me. 2 sections of everything per grade level. So you've got section A and section B. And for potions, section A includes Gryffindors and Slytherins. And section B is supposed to include Ravenclaws and Hufflepuffs. But they're Ravenclaw. So they just don't have to go. They have 4th year potions accelerated, like an online course or something. So... every time that we have a class without anybody, Ravenclaw's supposed to be there. If they weren't Ravenclaw. No? Maybe?
But then there would be younger Ravenclaws in the classes. They would have to.
I've thrown away that competency-based acceleration thing. It's more like they plan 3 sessions of every class every week. I still don't see how the teachers can possibly handle 3 sessions of potions for first year, 3 sessions for second year, 3 sessions for 4th year. I mean, I get it.
It's still
but
adding
maybe more. Ravenclaws only meet once a week for any given class. Given the idea that they're the honors gifted kids, right? And they're going to catch on faster, so they don't need as much, but they get more homework and independent study. So they're doing the same work, but they don't need as much interaction with the teacher. I don't know. I'm trying to make it work for me, and
it just doesn't.
They're
just left out.
We so much of my time talking about instructional strategies in my world, but we
are just underrepresented in these books, and I think
maybe they don't really
call somebody.
Ghostbusters,
maybe, or J.K. Rowling.
Where are the how do the Ravenclaws learn? I'm so confused.
Where are dem Ravenclaws?
Oh, because that would be me. At the same time, that's my class. Where am I at?
We know they play Quidditch. That's it.
They wander halls. We've seen them at lunch and dinner.
I guarantee they're in some of the elective courses that Hermione are in. Arithmancy, runes, and that's their whole curriculum.
I feel like we had something though in book 3 where with the whole "Where's Hermione? How could she be going to class? She hasn't missed any of this class
Because
she
she's
hasn't
in
missed any
classes
of
with
that
the
class."
Ravenclaws.
It's like hidden classes and like, I don't know, a boat in the lake or something. I don't know. But didn't Ron talk to a Ravenclaw and say, "Oh yeah, she hasn't missed it was either Ancient Runes or Arithmancy. It's one of the two. Like she never missed a class." I think it was it Terry Boot? Is he a Ravenclaw? I want to say that's who he talked to.
I don't think he is.
Ugh. All right. All right, we can move on now.
Yeah, I don't think we've met Terry Boot yet. He is a Ravenclaw. You are correct.
All right, fine.
We have not met him yet, though, I believe.
Okay.
I think it was just like, oh, 3rd year Ravenclaw girl.
No, but I know there was a line where Ron's like, "I talked to fill in a name," and
If anything, it was like a Hufflepuff that we met, like a Justin Finch Fletchley.
like Ernie McMillan or something.
Right.
It might have been Justin. Darn you, Justin.
He's so pompous.
No, Ernie's pompous.
They're both pretty pompous when you really get down to it.
Which is very strange for Hufflepuffs.
Let's get back to this chapter. So my next thought, so we can get off our Ravenclaw pedestal soapbox. Still no Hedwig.
Nope.
Like, do you think Harry should be a little worried about? I mean, he clearly keeps thinking about it, but like then doesn't really put a second thought to it.
Okay, let's think. He sent Hedwig off. What was it? August 13th,
Sure.
August 14th, whatever that Saturday was before the Quidditch World Cup final. So the Quidditch World Cup final was a Monday. He went to whoever they are, the Weasleys, the day before. That Monday, he sent Hedwig off either Saturday or Sunday of that week. They spent 2 weeks at the Burrow, and now we are on, the second day of school? First day of school? I mean, it's only been 2.5 weeks. It feels longer because in podcast years, it's been decades.
And
but
in pages-wise, it's been 7 chapters.
Right. It's been a while. It was chapter 2 that we sent him away, and here we are on page 208.
Yeah.
And
it's been over 10 chapters.
Yeah, right. Like he went away in chapter 2. We're over 200 pages.
But yeah,
it's been a while.
Wise, it's been very condensed.
Yes.
Of calendar days per page.
Yes. So, I mean, theoretically, depending on how far away Sirius was, I don't think 2 weeks is unreasonable.
Okay.
If Hedwig's not back by Halloween, we can care.
Okay, that's our delineation point.
Okay. Halloween is a problem.
We'll check in later. So another thing that kind of caught my attention was the squeezing of the bubo tubers. The description was pretty interesting. Squeezing the bubo tubers was disgusting, but oddly satisfying. As each swelling was popped, a large amount of thick yellowish-green liquid burst forth, which smelled strongly of petrol. So then they collected it, but then it just seemed like popping pimples.
So my innocent one was like, "Oh, it's like bubble wrap," but no, you're right. Popping pimples is a much better.
It's gross.
Analogy. Well, and then it's the cure for pimples.
That's what I'm saying. So I think it's supposed to kind of have that similar characteristic of, hey, you use what you're doing to fix the problem, I guess.
I suppose. Ugh.
So that kind of caught my attention. But would you want a Scroot as a pet?
No. Mm-mm.
So how many would you want if you had to pick one or more?
-7.
Okay, so you're going with more because it's an absolute value. You're getting 7.
One for each of my siblings and my parents.
There you go.
It'll be Christmas presents.
That sounds
Merry Christmas.
Awesome.
I'm going to blow up your house.
And is Malfoy right about them?
Yes.
That they should just be killed and put out of everyone else's misery?
I wouldn't say kill them. I would say maybe don't let them breed and lock them up and leave them to their own devices, chained to the wall, and don't feed them. Well, that's kind of inhumane too. Nope.
It's basically worse than just outright killing them. You're starving them.
You're right. I am starving them to
involved. Death. You're an awful person, is what we just learned. You're terrible.
I wouldn't do that to a people.
A people.
That's right. I wouldn't do that to a people.
So you're going to get 7 of them so that you can starve them to death. Nice.
That's not true.
We're learning a lot about
so that my 4 brothers plus my 1 sister plus my 2 parents can all experience the wonderfulness of a blast and Scroot.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
You're all animal lovers, all of you. It'll be fine.
Sometimes.
They're going to be named like Fluffy and Petey and Spot, and you're going to take them for walks.
Maybe. So the next thing that caught my attention was Professor Trelawney's astrology. Thoughts on learning about planets and their uses in fortune telling here?
I always enjoy this scene because I like that's what astrology feels like to me, right? Like, Gemini and Taurus and Capricorn, it's all based on the stars. Yep. Yes, it's very much astrological feeling to it. I love, my favorite part of this scene is when Trelawney predictably tries to say, Harry's going to be dead or killed or have trouble, blah, 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 typical Trelawney. And does that by saying, can I, assume, dear, that your birthday's in the winter? He's like, July? Pretty sure that's not winter. That's like as not winter as you can get.
Quite not winter.
It is, in fact, the opposite of winter, but good guess. Good try. Yeah. It's so pointless, her stuff. Pick somebody else.
Right, yeah. If you're going to be wrong around the room, I guess.
Right. Or how about being wrong to Lavender, who, adores you and thinks you can do no wrong, who would be like, well, no, but my mom, da-da-da-da. She'd find an excuse for it.
Yeah. Her faith would bring her back to justifying it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the Uranus joke with Lavender Brown. Do you wanna read that one off?
I want to point out that the 11-year-old boy in my brain loves this line.
I knew you would. That's why I wanted to let you read it.
It's my favorite, and it's, can I have a look at Uranus too, Lavender? Yay! It's so funny.
It's so
14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I love it. And thank you. Sorry, parents and children who are listening. It's not funny and you don't get it because I said it wrong and the planet is really called Uranus. It doesn't make any sense at all. And this is not a funny joke. Move on.
Okay. I'm glad you got that out of your system. Thanks for growing up finally.
I'm over it. I'm back to being a teenage kid. I'm good.
But we also have Harry kind of almost drifting off, right? And then she brings him back and it's just didn't really matter. Don't care. But then they end up with a bunch of homework, and that's when they then walk out into the courtyard where here's Malfoy has to come sprinting across the yard to read this news article to him, right? I mean, it's
could he just leave him alone? You know what you could do, Malfoy? Just don't engage. Don't have the conversation.
All he knows how to do is engage. He can't follow through. All he can do is engage. That's it. That is his skill set.
Yeah, I know. He's frustrating.
Yeah. Take a break, man. Just give it a day.
Although, I will say, bouncing Malfoy ferrets are the best kind of ferrets.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good. Draco Malfoy, the amazing bouncing ferret.
Ta-da! This chapter is, I don't know that a lot happens. It feels like a typical filler chapter.
Transition chapter.
Yes, but the Uranus joke, the Boba Tuber Puss, which is funny. Bouncing Malfoy ferret, funny. There's just really this is just an entertaining chapter. It's a good first day.
Yeah, it's definitely the back to school chapter, which we have one of these just about every book. And
seeing as how they go back to school every book, yes.
We also have where we spend the whole chapter in that first day back.
Yes.
So
yes,
we do this every book, and I know they go back to school every book. I know this.
Oh, I'm feeling a little ornery today. I apologize.
I can tell. It's a good start. I like it.
And
Feisty Melissa's good.
Speaking of ornery, I do have a question about Professor McGonagall. Why can't we use Transfiguration on students? I think it might be a very interesting method of consequences, which might deter some other behavior. I promise I wouldn't actually use it in my real classroom.
You wouldn't? If you had the ability, you wouldn't do it?
If it was allowed? Maybe to be funny. I'd probably do it to be funny. I don't think I would do it, as a consequence. That's my guess.
I think it would highly depend on the situation for sure, because it could quickly turn into, yes, it's a consequence, but it could easily turn into like a bullying or abuse by a teacher.
So it
like
sounds like
Snape should not have the
No.
ability to do that.
That's true. Okay, good point.
So that's why I think it's probably a good rule.
I think back to like when corporal punishment was allowed, and this was even before I was in school, so we're talking a long time.
Ages, millennia ago.
I mean, we're talking half a century almost, right?
So long ago.
Shut up. Anyway, like I remember talking to teachers, and they would like the corporal punishment had to be dealt out by the principal. It wasn't something you could do in the classroom, and there had to be witnesses. So there'd have to be so many adults to witness, to be able to sign the little thing. I'm like, wonder if it's like that. Like, I'm going to transfigure you into a canary in a cage for 5 minutes. It has to be Professor Dumbledore. We're going to get McGonagall and Snape to sign off to say that we witnessed it and it wasn't done like in a malicious way. It was just done as your consequence. And then we move on. Yeah, no. Transfigurating students should not be allowed.
Yeah. And the real, again, this is not right, but the real effective way of doing it would be the way Moody did it, which he is clearly using to embarrass Malfoy in front of everybody. He's doing it as a social punishment, as much as a pulling his human rights from him by being a ferret kind of thing too, but doing it in such a public way in front of his peers is what Moody is going for, I think, which is what makes it extra effective.
But also wrong.
No, absolutely wrong. Again, not right.
No, not
highly effective.
But how effective? Like, it stops the bullying in the moment, but do you really think it's going to change Malfoy's behavior? Because that's what an effective consequence is supposed to do. It's supposed to
It's effective in the moment. I agree. It's not a long-term solution. It's not an effective teaching moment.
Right.
So my last note here is whenever the twins and Lee Jordan come in and start talking about Moody, like, I just love how, like, in awe they are at, like, how cool Moody is. It basically goes through and says, Moody, he said, how cool is he? Beyond cool, said George, sitting down opposite Fred. Super cool, said the twins' best friend Lee Jordan, sliding into the seat beside George. We had him this afternoon, he told Harry and Ron. What was it like? Said Harry eagerly. Fred, George, and Lee exchanged looks full of meaning. Never had a lesson like it, said Fred. He knows, man, said Lee. Knows what? Said Ron, leaning forward. Knows what it's like to be out there doing it, said George impressively. Doing what? Said Harry. Fighting the dark arts, said Fred. He's seen it all, said George. Amazing, said Lee. It just feels a lot like what older siblings would do. Like, it feels like a very natural sibling and friend conversation for something that, again, is kind of foreshadowing to what we haven't had a class with Moody, so we don't know what it's like. But this impression that we're getting is kind of laying the groundwork for, it's supposed to set our assumptions as to what it might be like in his classroom. And I think it's pretty well done. Yeah,
I agree. I very much like it without giving anything away. And unlike most twin encounters, I don't think they're teasing.
Yeah, and
it's
maybe that's
the
other reason it kind of stands out to me, is because they're not, chiding Ron at all, which seems to be kind of their MO, their modus operandi, and they're just being older brothers. Like, it doesn't happen much.
Yes. So, Luke, it looks like you've got a few burning questions for me.
I sure do. 5 of them. Burn them up. What new method has Hermione come up with for standing up for elf rights?
So, I researched 13 peaceful protests, and whether they worked, and looking through some of them. I feel like a boycott of elf work is what she tried the night before. And that didn't really work out for her because, she likes food and needed to eat.
She could maybe build up to that.
Right.
A one-person starvation thing, it's going to go a little unnoticed.
I mean, it worked for Gandhi, but
yeah,
still, it's not going to work in the long term.
She's got to build her platform first.
Right.
Get some notoriety.
So my 3 biggest suggestions are, first is going to be some sort of march.
Okay.
But an effective March needs to have effective planning and buy-in. So that's going to take some time.
Again, kind of work up to that.
Yes. She could do a sit-in.
Okay. Where's she going to sit?
The kitchen.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Again, you have or in the Great Hall, maybe
Just
during
in the
lunch
hallway.
times with some sort of poster thing, advertising thing. That seems like the most immediate. But I feel like her long-term plan, I'm going to get to the right screen here. And I'm basing this, here we go, off of the Wisconsin teacher strike of 2011 and the Lust Lady strike of San Francisco in 1997, where so the Wisconsin teacher strike and most teacher strikes are about either wages or conditions for teachers and working environments, and even like the district spending enough money to provide what teachers need to service to children. So that's one. But I feel like this one it's a dancing club in San Francisco where the women dancers went on strike protesting outside the club and said no one should enter and we're not going to work until we are able to form a union so that our voices can be heard. So Hermione is going to want to unionize the house elves so they can create a joint front to improve their own working conditions.
Gotta stand up and organize, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think. That's, I think, her end goal. And those other types of peaceful protests might help to lead some of that social justice reform.
Okay. I think that was
How about you?
Well-prepared statement. And I agree.
Do I get any points for my answer?
You get a point.
Yay.
That was the only one available. So you got it. You got the point this episode. Nice
I win!
job. You won the point this episode.
Excellent. And I was honorary. Excellent show, Melissa. Good
nice job. You're getting a raise.
Can it be like
that means you're working more?
Of what I make already?
Yeah, that means you're working more hours.
With less pay, which is 0.
No, you'll get paid more.
It's in blast and screws. I'll get paid in blast and screws. Great.
We're up to 8 blast and screws per episode.
Who gets the 8th one? I pick the next person who joins our Patreon account.
That could be you. Join now and get a blasted and screwed.
What's your next question?
Question 2. Which sounds worse? Squeezing bubo tubers for the pus or raising blast-ended scroots?
Raising blast-end scroots.
Okay.
I don't animal well.
That's true.
And I don't animals that have stingers and whatever else they have at all.
Yeah. Suckers and yeah. It was.
How about you?
I'm gonna go bubo tubers as well on this one. It's
that you're going to stick with doing that and stay away from the scroots?
Yeah, in this case, for sure.
I want like a picture of a scroot with a big red circle and a line, like no scroots allowed.
Right.
You know?
Question 3. Don't you think the student roster includes birthdays at some point?
Mine always do.
Right. I mean, like, you see where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
So, what do you think?
Okay, first of all, you have to know that, I mean, they all have birthdays. It's not like, I don't know, she's an idiot. That's what I think. I think Trelawney is an idiot because, of course, they're going to know the birthdays, or at the very least, like, have access to be able to ask. So I'm sure she's just, like, not even thinking. She just said that to sound cool without having like, she could have done that and picked any other kid whose birthday's pretty much anywhere from, like, November to March, and it'd have been close.
Right.
You've got, like, a 5-month window. I mean, I know winter's only 3 months, but still, one on either end.
So I think what, in my unprofessional opinion, suffers from is she's delusional, right? She believes entirely that she's always actually predicting. She doesn't think that she's a fraud. She thinks that she's doing it. She's following what she's trying to teach, and she believes it herself.
That's the worst kind of fraud.
That's my point. So she actively doesn't look at the roster and things like that so that she can try to do things like this and hit, really, really well at sometimes. And then hopefully you hit so well on those ones that it kind of glosses over all the times that you were wrong. So, or I guess haven't been proven correct yet. Maybe that's for false false predictions. Just hasn't come true yet. His birthday might change. Don't judge her.
Oh,
Question
okay.
4.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or do you think Professor Vector might be one of the best teachers at Hogwarts? Clearly, Professor Vector believes in the syllabus day means no homework day.
I mean, you gotta like a professor who decides not to give homework on the first day.
Right.
I don't know if best is
I said one of the best teachers.
one of the best. I mean, it's going to be very hard to beat McGonagall in my eyes. I'm sorry, she is my favorite.
Mhm.
But I think Professor Vector, she's got to be better than Snape, at least in terms of like likableness. She is probably better than Hagrid because I like Hagrid, but his instructional strategies leave something to be desired. She's better than whoever they have for defense against the dark arts, simply because she's lasted longer than any of them. And
Better than astronomy because she's actually been named.
this is true.
And yes, I know there is
And
still
she's not dead.
Professor Sinistra of the astronomy department still are not confirmed that was their teacher in first year. Just saying.
Yes. I would say
And
maybe Flitwick could be better. I like Flitwick. I think he's a decent teacher. So I don't know. I'd have to see her class, but I definitely think she's up there.
So she's never given a first name in the books, so I'll just tell you what it is. It's Septima Vector.
Yes.
Professor Septima Vector basically teaches advanced arithmancy. I mean, talk about, I think you have to be pretty bright to be teaching advanced wizard math. So,
Yes.
that's all I'll say on that.
Okay.
Question 5. Is it surprising at all that Draco was not injured while being disciplined as the amazing bouncing ferret?
Well, did he hit the ceiling?
Floor.
I know
They
he
were
hit the
outside,
floor.
right? He bounced him on the floor.
That's right.
I thought they were outside.
They might have been outside. You're right. I think him being injured would not have been surprising, but I don't think it was a foregone conclusion to be injured in that. I could imagine some bruises, though, that we maybe weren't made aware of.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to go with.
All right. I think that's fair.
Okay.
But yeah, it sounded like Moody was pretty angry while doing it, right? I mean, doing the classic shout every word that you're hitting the thing.
With expression.
Right.
True. But by the end, I think he was enjoying it. It was funny.
Sure. Fair enough.
Hey, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite line?
I do, and it's one we've kind of already touched on here, but it goes, "Don't talk to me," Ron said quietly to Harry and Ron as they sat down at the Gryffindor table a few minutes later, surrounded by excited talk on all sides about what had just happened. "Why not?" said Hermione with surprise. "Because I want to fix that in my memory forever," said Ron, his eyes closed and an uplifted expression on his face. Draco Malfoy, the amazing bouncing ferret.
Oh,
That's great.
I love it.
How about you? What was your favorite line?
You know perfectly well I only said that to shut Malfoy up, said Hermione. As a matter of fact, I think he's right. The best thing to do would be to stamp out the lot of them before they start attacking us all.
Okay, defend your position.
Hermione saying that Malfoy is right, that's only going to happen once, right? So that's number one. Number two, he is right, and they're terrible.
Yeah, still, give him a chance. I don't agree with the stamp on the lot of them before they start attacking us. Let him. You gotta let him attack first. I mean, come on.
No, you don't. Because, no. Anyway, I am perfectly happy with my choice. Thank you very much. Who is your favorite character?
Moody, easy. I thought I think this is kind of one of those, like, the real introduction to him, you're right? I mean, at least the first interaction with him more than just across the Great Hall.
Or hearing his name from head in the fire.
I mean, comes in with a fury. And you're not expecting it. You know, he's a little off kilter.
That's
but
true.
This is like a different level. It's like, what just happened? Like, I cannot believe what I just saw.
Who is this guy and what's going on here?
How about you? Who is your honorable mention?
The Amazing Bouncing Ferret, because that's my favorite version of Draco Malfoy.
Okay, that's a good reason. I like it.
Because it might be the only time Draco Malfoy gets any kind of favorite.
Yeah,
and it's Ferret Malfoy.
Yeah, I think we need to just make that clear. Ferret Draco in the book.
All right, are you fixing that?
Yeah, just to be clear, so when we're looking back, we're like, wait, what? But no. Ferret Draco can get it.
Ferret Draco is the best kind of Draco. That's all I'm saying.
I can concur.
Alrighty. So I think that wraps us up for today. We appreciate all of you being here. So feel free to look us up on social media. We are on Twitter at Not Named Podcast. You can find us. You can email us at our email account because I'm good at talking. It's called notnamedpodcast@gmail.com. You can go to our website where there is lots of amazing things. I have 2 things you need to do on the website today. Number 1, you need to go to thepodcast.com and click the Support Us tab. Under the Support Us tab, you're going to go to T Public Merch because Christmas is 1 week away. You've got just a week to finish your Christmas shopping. So why not get your very best friends their very own The Podcast That Must Not Be Named t-shirt or pillow or coffee mug? All those kinds of things are available for you to buy for your friends. Second thing you need to do is go to patreon.com/stayimaginary, join our Imaginary Legion, and I'm going to be looking for the person who joins first after this episode airs because I am going to send you a Blast and Scroot. It might be just a drawing and I draw terribly, but I will send you one. So join our Imaginary Patreon Legion as well at any level that you wish, and make sure you sign up and let us know. We are very excited to have you there.
And while you're doing that, subscribe and like and rate this podcast on iTunes and check us out on YouTube as well. Both of those aggregators do a really good job for us at helping other people find us with interaction with you beautiful folks and things like that as well. Listen to this Not Named podcast on Radio Public. It's free, easy to use, and helps listeners like you find and support shows like ours. When you listen to our show and all of the shows at thepodcast.com on Radio Public's Android or iOS app, everyone benefits.
Join us next week when we discuss chapter number 14.
The Unforgivable Curses. Stay imaginary.
Thanks.